Good afternoon or evening, I should say. It is 6 p.m. Good evening and welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. We are currently live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Podbean. So thanks so much for tuning in. I am really excited. We have a great show for you today. Today is episode 35. It is episode 35 with Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. Today's show is Cry Loud and Spare Not New Orleans. There is a lot going on. We have a lot to talk about. So today we're going to cry loud and spare not about the New Orleans budget deficit and what is going on. So I'm going to give you an update because literally every day there's something going on and causes to what's going on. So I did have a resident ask me a question about, how did we get into the way that we got? And so, I love resident questions. So I'm going to answer that question. I also have my resident question from last show, which was, where's all the money from Sewerage Water Board going? So I do have that answer for you here as well, as best that I can answer it. I also kind of wanted to bring up with regard to the budget deficit, the state oversight that is happening for the city of New Orleans. The administration was like, they don't want any oversight, but then in the budget bond hearing meeting and the fiscal advisory board meeting, we saw that New Orleans is getting some of the strictest restrictions regarding the budget, the bond. And so I want to explain to you, my thoughts on why we're getting that, but also we can go back to what the Lord said, that New Orleans is under judgment. And this is the cleanse. So here we are. I'm showing you how it's playing out. As well as, we have a newly elected mayor. So we want New Orleans to be very, very successful, but we also know that you cannot be successful and continue to not tell the residents the truth. And so, unfortunately, our mayor-elect ran on a platform of, hiring 100 new workers in public works. And unfortunately, we do not believe that can happen. And not unfortunately, she, in my opinion, should have known that shouldn't have been possible. So I really do feel like we got the okie doke. I didn't get the okie doke. I feel that her supporters got the okie doke, if that is why they supported her. So we'll break that down and you can decide for yourself. I'm not here to manipulate anybody. I'm here to give you the facts and you can make your own decisions. So that was my 2 cents, but I'm going to give you information and you can also make yours. So also we're going to talk about the November 15th election this Saturday. I want you to get a plan to vote. The last show on Tuesday, episode 34, I broke down the propositions for you. On today's show, I'm going to explain to you exactly what the Clerk of Criminal Court does, what their responsibilities are, because you should know exactly what you're voting for. And many people don't even know what the job entails. So I'm going to break down exactly what the job entails so people can know what they're voting for on November 15th, as well as not resident questions, as well as New Orleans trivia. I do have a little bit of New Orleans trivia for you. It dropped right before on Instagram, right before I came on the show. So if you're paying attention there, you'll see some of that, but I'm going to throw in an extra one for you. So we'll have a little fun with that. And last but not least, we do have where to find New Orleans information, because of course this is Faith and Politics. I want you to be involved in the civics process of New Orleans and understand what's going on. So I like to give you hands-on approach of where you can get information in the city of New Orleans. So that's what today's show is going to be about. It is episode 35. Cry loud and spare not. And if you are just joining Faith and Politics, thank you so much for joining us. If you have been a follower of mine, I've been on radio since 2013. I worked for the city of New Orleans for a hiatus, and for that I say a hiatus, but I built the social media department from 2018 to 2021. I left there. I did the recall for the city of New Orleans for the current serving mayor because I did not believe that she was doing justice for the city of New Orleans. And then I ran for mayor because I knew that if we did not speak up during this time, our voices will never be heard. So I wanted to make sure that we put that information out there. And honestly, it was a warning from the Lord. It was that was our second warning. The recall was the first warning, and this was a second warning. And he said New Orleans is in a 3-season process. The process is judgment, cleanse and revival. So how long are we going to be in the cleanse process? That absolutely depends on the residents of New Orleans and how quickly we repent and turn to the Lord. So we will see how that is going to happen. There have been many prophets and apostles across the United States of America that have prophesied that New Orleans is in judgment. So, take this word and test it from the Lord. But it's not something that I'm only saying. It is something that many prophets and apostles right now are saying. And so I do have a walk with the Lord. So I do this humbly, and I like to give people information. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I am no party. And I believe you have a different set of eyes when you're not under, someone else's altar. I'm on the altar of Jesus Christ, period. And so this is going to come with a flare of faith because the world is spiritual. If you're from New Orleans, what are we known for? Voodoo, right? So many places and, internationally known, and unfortunately, but it is what it is. And people have grown up here in mixed Christianity and witchcraft, and they think that it's normal, but it's not normal. So I'm here to kind of navigate us through that a little bit. I grew up Catholic, so don't think I was, spared from that. I grew up Catholic. The Lord spared me through my life having the walk that I walk. So I did not know what I was in until I was at the age where I could break out of it for myself. I did that. And maybe we'll have a show one day about, breaking out and deliverance. Let me know if y'all want to have a show like that, because it was definitely a process and you're always learning. First thing I did was start reading my Bible, and I stopped listening to, music and watching the television. I was like, let me only hear from the Lord for a little while. Let me cleanse my ears, because we're really, uh, we have our filters are really clogged with all the nonsense of life, and we can't hear like we're supposed to be hearing. Like they say, eyes, ears to hear and eyes to see. And so if we don't have those, it's hard to see. But we're living in a spiritual world. There is a reason why they have all these voodoo shops in New Orleans and palm readers in the French Quarters and things of that such, right? People go to them and pay them money. Well, why do they do that? There is a spiritual world. It exists. But if that is the bad side that we say, then what is the good side? So people go searching for it because they have spiritual gifts and they don't know what to do with it. Well, guess what the good side is, y'all? It's Jesus and he wins. And so, spoiler, Jesus wins. And so, people may think that they get away with things for a certain amount of time, but it's reaping season for New Orleans. And so it is what it is. The Lord has released another wave of the spirits of truth and death. And so you'll see a lot of deaths happening. People are going to be going for different reasons. And you're going to see a lot of truth happening and exposed in many different ways. It's not just politics. It's literally every area of life, even in our families and our friends. You see it going on social media right now. They have people who are literally losing their minds. Why? Because, New Orleans was under the grace of God for a little while. Not a little while. We've been under the grace of God. And so he removed that grace because he said, oh, you're going to choose that? Okay, fine. See what that feels like. And, people want to point their finger like God. Oh, God, did this to me. God did this to me. No, God didn't. We did it to ourselves with sin. We are all sinners. And if you can't say that you're a sinner, you're probably dealing with pride, because we've all had that. We all need to repent, and we all need to fast, get back to the basics of what the Bible tells us to do. Because when we really walk those walks, you really like, wait, this works. It actually does work. And so I offer those things to do. And in saying that, this is Faith in Politics. So I always start with a little bit of faith. I do not have a direct word from the Lord today, but I do have something that he encouraged me to do, and I'm going to share it with you because I've shared it online maybe a couple times, but I've never said it in a show. And so I want to challenge each and every listener to take back their neighborhood and to take back their block. So when you go to take out your trash or walk your dog or walk to the bus stop or walk to the library or the neighborhood park or basketball court, whatever it is in your neighborhood where you're walking, in the neighborhood store, I challenge you to stand in your authority. Pray the Our Father if you haven't, praying recently. Some people are intimidated by prayer. Do not be intimidated by prayer. The Lord hears you. Just talk to him. He is your friend. He is your bestie. Trust me. I dodged over 40 bullets, and in that car, I called for Jesus, and we are both alive today. And so I know he's real. I've had miracle signs and wonders happen for me. And so that's why I stand so 10 toes down for Jesus, because he's literally saved my life. And so we are here to save souls, to speak out on the devil and cast them out. If we're not doing that, then what are we doing? And so we have that authority, and most people just don't know that they have it. And when you realize you had it, you're like, wait, whom shall I fear? And so that's the point that each and every one of us should be at. And so I hope that for you. And if you need some help, let me know. I'm here for that as well. I do walk in deliverance, but I do it for the people who the Lord directs me to. So with that being said, I do want to share this one scripture because it just speaks to the cry loud and spare not. And so, as I said, I challenge you to take back your block, and that means stepping outside of your door and literally walking your block and say, I claim this block for the name of Jesus Christ, and we will have peace. I declare it in the name of Jesus, and walk your block and just say the Our Father. That is as easy as I can make it for you. And I will give you Deuteronomy 11:24 and 25 to help you establish that. And so every place on which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. It's a promise from the Lord, y'all. So if we don't do it, then we don't get it. So if you do it, you get it. So every place on which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. Your territory shall be from the wilderness to Lebanon, and from the river Euphrates and to the western sea. No one shall be able to stand against you. The Lord your God will lay the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land that you shall tread, as he promised you. And so with that, I offer Deuteronomy 11:24 and 25 to you. Go say that. If you want to like pull it out on your phone and put it in your notes, because that's what I did here. I put it in my notes. Every time I keep trying to show you, I put it in my notes, just so I could read it to you. But maybe that's a sign for you. Put it in your notes on your phone and walk around the block and claim your territory, because it will make a difference. Let me just give you an example, because I know it made a difference. We were having some bad car break-ins in our neighborhood for a little while, and I was like, oh, I am not down for this. And so that's when God gave me the idea of taking territory of my neighborhood. And so I started doing it and walking my neighborhood and just praying. And would you believe we had not had another car break-in since that happened? So praise the Lord. It really works. I'm not just telling you stuff, just to throw it out there. I'm telling you stuff because it works. And so, welcome to Faith and Politics again. And if you are interested in the book, I do have a book that breaks down the civics information of the city of New Orleans by our charter, which is very important. People may give you information, but I'm going to give you the legalities of it, because if we know the rules of the game, then we can referee better. A lot of us are at work or doing stuff with our families, and we just have so much going on that we don't know what's, we watch the news and we just think, oh, that's what's going on. But a lot of times it's out of context, and, in 2.5 minutes, they cannot give you the full story. So we as residents should do our due diligence, especially when we're going to going into elections and going to the polls. We should know, what's going on. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you like short, digestible versions so that you can make a change in your family with regard to knowledge to the city of New Orleans, as well as in government and how you vote. Pass this on to your youth. I do give the PDF away for free. So if you cannot afford it, it is okay. You can still get the information, the PDF for free. The link is in my bio. Just go there. I know it's an Instagram. I got to check on TikTok because they only give you like 1 or 2 links. But on Instagram, you can definitely go there and get the PDF right now for free. So please go do that. You can also purchase the book on Amazon. It is available on Amazon. It'll look just like this book. And if you want to purchase it from me, because I did have some people who wanted to purchase it from me, you can do that. It's $15. You can cash at me. We are having some meetups throughout the city, at different coffee shops. And I have one-on-ones or group, depending on, what you're interested in. And we just chat about what's going on in the city, politics, what your questions are. And, maybe spiritually we delve into that too. And so, this is the way that the Lord, started in the Bible with Acts, right? We met in small meetings. And so we need to get back to the basics so that we can spread some true information so that we can all be more successful. And so if you want to email me, you can do that at faithinpolitics504@gmail.com. That is faithinpolitics504@gmail.com. You can also call me. Only do it between 9 and 4 on Monday through Friday. It is 504-434-2827. That is 504-434-2827. So check me out there if you're interested in partnering, if you are interested in sponsoring a book, because the first book giveaway was sponsored. So shout out to Club Evolve who did our book giveaway. We really appreciate him doing that. And if you ever miss a show, this is episode 35. Can you believe we've been here for 35 shows? If you ever miss an episode, you can go online at faithandpoliticstoday.podbean.com. faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. You can download that app and listen there. Or if you can't listen live and you have Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Podbean, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, or Boomplay, you can catch Faith in Politics there. So there's no reason to miss your New Orleans civics information. You can just listen to it while you work out, while you drive, whatever you want. Let's get this done so we can be a stronger New Orleans for each and every one of us. And last but not least, I did have some people ask me about this, so I do want to share it. My firm is Carter Business Development. I have a consulting firm and I do strategic development. So if you are interested in working with that, or you have any ideas, or you have any questions with regard to that, I've worked on government levels, clearly, because I work for the city of New Orleans and their communications department under the current mayor from 2018 to 21. And so I also work with small businesses, nonprofits, and things of that sort. So let me know what you're interested in and how I can help you create a plan so you can get your voice and your outreach out there. And so when we partner and do it together, we can make it happen. And so I also do civic seminars. I do mock elections, and I've done that with our youth to really get them engaged. And I've seen how their faces light up. Because just to give you an example, we did a mock election and we broke it up, and they can, I let them choose what they want to run for, what election. And so they decided they wanted to run for president of the United States, and they wanted to run for DA of the city of New Orleans. So we had two different elections, and it was really great to see them get into it and to choose their positions that they wanted to be when they grow up. So, hopefully we will be electing them one day. So last but not least, the seminars are Faith and Leadership, Government 101, and Community Power. And so we want to make sure that you get engaged so we can all do this together, because that's what it's about. It's about doing it together so we can take back our city. So I'm going to jump into the budget update, because I know everybody's been seeing it all over the news and everything. So I want to go into, and I'm going to read my notes for these because I do not want to miss anything, because there's a lot happening. So long story short, y'all. Well, I guess, I'm going to start here because I said this in the opening, and I'm just going to kind of get this out the way because it's cry loud and spare not. New Orleanians have been, gotten the okie doke. I want to say it in the nicest way possible. In my opinion, we have gotten the okie doke for many, many, many election cycles. And I believe we got it in this past election cycle. New Orleans had an election for the mayor of New Orleans, and our current mayor-elect won full out in the first primary. And so that happened. She ran on a platform which about 10 days after her election, they literally had to come out and say New Orleans is in a deficit. So I knew all this time, I'm like, you're running on a platform that you cannot deliver. Now, that is not something that, I could scream from the mountaintops, because as a running for mayor, they didn't invite us everywhere. So if y'all didn't know that, that's the truth. There was a lot of gatekeeping going on in this election, and it was just very telling. Gatekeeping from organizations that you would have thought have been open to everyone, who were not. I'm not going to name them now, but they know who they are. And it really did residents a disservice, because we only got to hear from elected officials. You had certain more mature people in the community who was like, I didn't even know you were running. I thought there was only three people running. And so it's just crazy how the system, including media and politicians and business people, create a bubble for residents and say, these are your only options. This is what you need to do. And so with that being the case, we do have our new mayor-elect, and she ran on a platform. And number one, she said, I'm going to hire 100 new public works workers. I'm going to shape up New Orleans. You are not going to live like this anymore. And I actually put a clip from the commercial with a clip from a recent media event yesterday, actually, that says, hey, New Orleans, I'm about to cut down and stream down the government. Like, people are going to lose their jobs, and New Orleans has to be streamlined. Departments are going to be recreated, and you're going to have some offices that may be pulled into different departments and things of that. They're going through that process right now to see what it looks like. But that was actually something I ran on, because I knew we were going to have to do it, because I'm paying attention, but I'm just a resident. You're working in City Hall. You have been an elected official in this current administration watching over the city of New Orleans for the past 8 years. So I don't understand how you didn't understand that this is the situation that we were in. Were you doing your job? And so let me just read the post. It says, New Orleans City Hall shakeup under mayor-elect. What's happening? Mayor-elect says that the city's workforce is top heavy with very high salaries. And so this is a quote. So she plans to make major cuts and reorganizations, particularly among upper management, and she takes office January 12th, 2026. So why this matters? City employees are now reapplying for their jobs under this new administration, and her transition team is going to review all of the entire city structure. So she says the current staffing levels, especially at the unclassified positions, those who can be hired or fired at will, are unsustainable. But here's my thing. You knew that before you went in there. This is not just brand new news. So, or if it is news, then how much attention have you been paying to the city for the past 8 years? That's a great question. So, by the numbers, roughly 15% of city employees are unclassified, many in leadership or the mayor's office. The city currently spends about $40 million a month on personnel. The city faces a $160 million operating deficit and ongoing cash flow issues linked to they say that it's linked to the federal government shutdown, but what we found out through the budget meetings was that they were really just robbing Peter to pay Paul this whole time. So after I give you this, I'm going to break down how we got to the deficit, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. So what they were doing was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and the government shutdown stopped Paul so Peter couldn't rob him anymore. So that's what happened, and that's how it got exposed, because they were never really doing it how they were supposed to be doing it. So the 2026 budgets are being cut right now under this administration by under the mayor's administration across the board, and a hiring freeze and travel freeze has been in place. But what the mayor-elect and the new administration leaders who are already there, they're already elected, are recreating the budget entirely. That's what they're saying now, that they have to literally recreate the entire budget. Now, remember, the budget per the city charter by law has to be balanced and given up by December 1st. So what day are we on? November 13th. So yes, the clock is ticking for them to redo the entire budget. Usually you have months to do this. They do not. So that's why they look like they do when you see them on the news, because they are under a crunch. And as you know, I do walk with the Lord, and so I say this often: New Orleans is under judgment, and we are now in the cleanse season. And so if you can't see it with what's going on, I'm putting it in your face, because a lot of people are like, oh, yes, it is what it is, and it's 100% happening. So what's next? The mayor-elect says that it could take a couple years to dig us out of all this. Her team has hired outside firms to study the payroll and staffing structure before setting targets for cuts or reorganization. So that is what's going on at City Hall right now. They are having cuts, setting targets, and reorganizations, and seeing how they can redo this entire budget, because the cleanse is here. And so my thing is, how didn't you know that this was the state that New Orleans was in, since you are a current sitting elected official? And you're just not any elected official. You're one of the at-large members on the city council. You rotate between president and vice president every other year. So if you didn't know, on the city council, we have 5 city council members who are ahead of each district A, B, C, D, and E, right? And then you're like, well, what are the other 2? The other 2 are at-large positions. They are supposed to be over every district. So the city is getting a full coverage. Yes. So JP Morrell is over the whole city. Helena Moreno is over the whole city. JP Morrell has only been there for the past 4 years, but Helena has been there for the past 8. So how you didn't know this was going down is beyond me. But if you want to say that you didn't know, fine, because guess what's happening? The state is now holding the city accountable. To the residents, our city council members have been saying, oh no, it is all the mayor's fault. It is all the mayor's fault. It's all the mayor's fault. Now, here's a short version of that. The CAO and the CFO. The CAO is over all of the departments, the chief administrative officer. The CFO is the chief financial officer. She is under the CAO. Now, when all of this started happening, the CFO has been, kind of sounding the alarm, sounding the alarm, sounding the alarm for months and years, honestly, that, you kind of look back at it. But she's been talking to the CAO and the mayor and also sending these same reports to the city council. Yet nobody wanted to believe her that it was the way that it was. Now, it got to a point where nobody could ignore it anymore when the school board was, they were trying to pay them the $20 million. And so while the mayor was out of town, the CAO, Gilbert Montano, made a deal with the city council. So in my opinion, the city council thought that they had a friend in Gilbert Montano because he was doing what they wanted and not doing what the mayor wanted per se. But the mayor was like, no, we can't do this. And she's listening to the CFO. So you had the mayor and the CFO on this team, and you had the city council and the CAO on this team. So the city council was listening to the CAO blindly and not asking any questions. Well, how do you do that if your job per the city charter by law is oversight? Great question. And so you know what? That question, in my opinion, is what came up from the state as well, which is why we have so many restrictions. You're asking for an extra $125 million to give to the people who are literally over the budget on the city council. So who sat at the table? We had Joe Geroso, who's the budget chair. We had Mayor-elect Helena Moreno, and you had our council president, JP Morrell. All of them sat on the budget committee for the city of New Orleans, at least for the past 4 years. Now, Helena for the past 8 years, right? And so what were you doing? Where was your oversight? Non-existent. So if you're not going to have oversight, how are we going to give you another $125 million as the state or anybody else? If you had $125 million, would you give it to people who created the deficit that they're in? Let's be real. And so that's the situation we're in. And so New Orleans has a legislative auditor. We do not have a fiscal administrator, but it is not, that step is not totally, out in the woods. If New Orleans doesn't abide by the restrictions that the that the legislative auditor has created, a fiscal administrator could happen. And so AG Mural dropped a video today. It's about 5 minutes if you want to go check it out, really breaking down what the fiscal administrator is and her 2 cents on New Orleans. And she honestly said she wants New Orleans to be successful. She's like, but you had a deficit for the past 3 years. So everybody sitting at a table, you're a part of it. And you cannot just say, oh, it's the mayor's fault. No, by law, the city council is required to do oversight. So I just believe they've been giving people the okie doke. You can make your decision for yourself. I'm giving you what the information is. And today's show is cry loud and spare not. So that's what I'm doing. I'm giving y'all the information and you can do what you want with it. So New Orleans fiscal cliff. A lot of people have been like, what happened? Why are we in this deficit? So let me break it down for you. And I also put this post up on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So if you're looking for this information more in depth, you can go there if I'm too fast for you here. So New Orleans fiscal cliff. What went wrong? We had a $388 million in federal relief. Did I stutter? $388 million in federal relief. Y'all, that was only a couple years ago. So how are we in this deficit? Right. Meant for one-time projects and rebuilding reserves. That's what should have happened. But instead, it was spent on operating costs and new recurring expenses. So instead of like paying for the stuff that we should have so we can like breathe easy, they started creating new reoccurring cost. Well, who's going to pay for that? Where's the money coming from? Because this was only a one-time fund. So if you don't have any new income coming in, how are your bills going to get paid? The same thing for you. If you don't get another job, if you don't get a side hustle, how are your bills going to get paid if you keep buying stuff? That's literally what happened to the city, and no one was talking about it. So the result was a massive long-term deficit. Not 1 year, just like the mayor-elect said, this is going to be years that New Orleans is digging itself out of that. So the cleanse season is not just for 1 year. It is going to be for a couple, New Orleans. So by the numbers, in 2025, the overtime budgeted, this is what was in the budget in 2025, $57 That's 57K. For the entire city of New Orleans, that's what the budget was. Are you serious? Actual spending, approximately $50 million. So what was budgeted is 57,000. What is actually going to happen is about 50 million. And so in 2024, here, I'm going back another year, overtime budget was about 10 million. So it was a little bit more, but clearly not enough. And the actual spending was approximately 44 million. So just with overtime, you see how we dug ourselves into this ditch. But here's the deal. The mayor didn't see it, nor did the city council. How is that possible? How is that possible? You can say you don't know, but that just means ignorance or malfeasance is in office. Pick one, because literally, it is like disgraceful that the residents are now in this situation when you had all the money in the world. Y'all, I'm telling you, they had 388 million in federal relief. 388 million in federal relief, and they went on a spending spree. And we're like, who has it? Do y'all have more money in your pockets, New Orleanians? No. But who, like all these consultants, we got to find out where the money went. And I hope the legislative auditor, when he figures that out, he lets us know. I'm sure he will, because that is a hot mess. So I'm not going into the full mayor's duties right now. I'm going to go into the city council's role and the legislative branch. Why? Because we are transitioning right now, and our mayor-elect was actually on the city council. So I'm going to give you the information of our legislative branch. But if you don't know, it's our executive branch, which is the mayor, who's responsible for all of the city departments and making sure that they run smoothly. The legislative branch is primarily responsible for budgeting and responsible for utilities and responsible for oversight of the entire city. They're responsible for listening to us, take our information back to the departments and say, hey, they need this A, B, and C fix, and make sure it works. That's the short version. But for years, the city council allowed fund transfers without approval. Now, they would say the mayor just moved money and we didn't know. Well, why didn't you know if you're supposed to be oversight over the budget? And this isn't like something that I'm just talking about. They get monthly reports on what's going on. So are you reading the reports? And they have the ability to amend the budget throughout the year. So why wasn't the budget amended throughout the year? You could have looked at the report and say, hey, this is looking funny. Hey, we got problems over here. And they have investigative authority. So my 2 cents is, if the CFO and the CAO were on 2 different pages in January on 2025, I mean, they were before that, but it was in the news and out there that as of January 2025, they were on 2 different pages. Why didn't you do any why didn't you use your investigative authority to find out what was really happening? Like, why? They say they took the word. The CEO told us this. So you just took the word of somebody and you didn't check? Like all 7 of you? Like really? Like, your job is oversight. You didn't go like, let me go see the report. Let me test what he's saying. Really? And so because they didn't, and actually in an interview, one of the council members was just like, hindsight's 2020. Yeah, you think? Hindsight is 2020. So they failed to enforce fiscal discipline, which is why the state is now enforcing fiscal discipline. So why they're being so stringent on the city of New Orleans? I believe it's because you're giving money to half the people who did it. So the result of that was we had weak oversight and unchecked spending for years. So the proposed fix, this is how the city council members say that they're going to fix this. With a charter amendment. So by Council President J.P. Morrell, he said he would require council approval before any budget funds are removed. Now, here's the deal. They're saying that they're doing this, but the legislative auditor came in, and this is one of the requirements for them to get the $125 million bond approval. So don't just think they're doing this because they thought it was a great idea. They're doing this because they're required to by the state to get this money for payroll, so they can make sure that you and your neighbors can, purchase a Thanksgiving dinner, and purchase anything in the month of December, and just pay your mortgage, or, pay your car note or whatever, or your school fees, whatever it is that you have to pay. Like, yeah, y'all, because all this was on the table. And so they're going to, again, they're going to require the council's approval before any budget funds are moved, align city processes with state level budget rules. Remember, I said they weren't doing this because they thought it was a good idea. No, they're doing it because the state is requiring it. and this aims to right size the government and restore accountability. So hopefully this will help. They are going to have weekly meetings now, and so the public is going to get to see weekly updates with regard to the budget. So I think this will be very helpful for each and every one of us. So here's where you get the information to watch the budget hearings. You can watch it. There's two ways to watch. Number one, you can watch it on the City Council website. That's council.nola.gov. That is council.nola.gov. Or if you ever miss it, you can always go back and watch it on their YouTube. And their YouTube is at NOLA City Council, NOLA City Council, at NOLA City Council. That is the YouTube for the City Council of New Orleans. So those are the places where you can get that information and watch those budget hearings, as well as any other hearings that are in council chambers. So with that amendment, it will be on the ballot of fall 2026. Voters, you will decide how City Hall handles your money. So we need to pay a lot of attention because they have not been doing, none of them have been doing what they were supposed to be doing. So New Orleans must rebuild financial discipline, and voters now have the chance to demand transparency, accountability, and real fiscal reform. So I say all of this and I try to get people engaged. I know it's not the sexiest subject, but it affects our city services. People like voting doesn't matter. Well, you're about to see how voting matters because they voted for this administration, and this administration is part of the reason why we are in this deficit hole. And they may not say it, but the craziest thing, y'all, is if you were to listen to the media reports coming out of Baton Rouge or different areas, and then you come back to New Orleans and you listen to the media reports coming out of New Orleans, they could have been talking about the same topic and will give totally different perspectives. And that's my thing. I'm like, stop giving us fluff. Give us the facts and let us make our own decisions. And so that's one reason, or the major reason, why I read my media and I read my news, and I get it from multiple different sources. I also get independent news, and podcasts are really helpful. So don't take anything we say and run with it. Test it. What the media says, test it. Don't believe it. I said this earlier, but it is so true. A lot of our reporters, while we love them and appreciate them, you were not here pre-Katrina. You have no context to your stories, nor honestly do they look for them. And I believe that you should do that. So if we have any media who has not been here pre-Katrina, who, you're here, you love New Orleans, you've been here for a couple years, well, we need you to deliver the news with some context. For real, we need you to deliver the news with context. And we know you have relationships with these elected officials, but you need to give it to us straight. You need to be for the people and not for the elected officials. When they call you to give a fluff piece because, they had a bad report or something came out, don't do it. Tell us the truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Stop it. You're not helping. You're becoming part of the system and part of the problem. And so you can see that on different stations. I will shout out to Fox 8. I feel like they have been delivering the most factual information. I will say 8, 4, and then 6. Our current our mayor-elect actually used to work at Channel 6, and so they've been a little softer on her than the other stations, and I just think it's a disservice to the residents. So just tell the truth, shame the devil. You're there to deliver the news and not to have an opinion about it. So we would appreciate it if you would do that, because that would help us all out. So with all of that being said, I am going to jump into the election, the short summary. On Tuesday's show, I gave y'all the breakdown to the propositions. We have 3 propositions on the ballot. Election day is November 15th, this Saturday. So get a plan, bring your neighbor. We need to make sure we are at the polls. And why people oh, this isn't a big election. Y'all, we have over $1 billion on the ballot that you are going to have to pay back. And you see how it's affecting us now. So over half a $500 million, $510 million, over $500 million on the ballot. They also have council election A and E, and you have the election for clerk of court. So really quickly, the propositions are 1, 2, and 3. I am an absolute no for proposition 1. No, 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 no. 1 on proposition 1. That is for the affordable housing, and it's not to not. And people if you vote no, you think you're not voting for affordable housing. That is not it. It's how it's funded. You're voting on how they are funding the housing trust fund. 2 years ago, the residents said, we want to fund the housing trust fund by 2% of the general fund, period. We want to make sure that it gets funded, and those funds can only be used for housing. Well, in my opinion, they want to give us the okie doke because they want to change it and use 45 million in bond money. And with that happening, they can use those funds for different things. Well, that's not what we asked you. We said we wanted to use the housing trust funds only for housing. And so if we stick to that, New Orleans, we're going to be good. I promise you, we're going to be good. So vote no on Proposition 1. No, no, no on Proposition 1. On Proposition 2 and 3, those are for a stormwater and things like that. That is a yes for both of those. So no on Proposition 1, yes on 2 and 3. I know I'm giving you the short version, but if you want the full version, I also have a graphic for that on my social accounts. That is on IG, TikTok, and YouTube. You can find the full breakdown of those there. But today we are going to talk about what's on the ballot is the Clerk of Criminal Court. I'm going to break that down fully because when you go to the ballot box, a lot of times you do not know what you're voting for. So I'm like, we need to be educated on what we're voting for. So I'm going to tell you exactly what the responsibilities of that position is, because a lot of people just don't know what they do. They're like, okay, Clerk of Criminal Court, what do they do? And we've seen stuff in the news, this, that, and the other where, and I'm not giving my opinion on who's running, but I'm going to tell you what their responsibilities are. So when you go in the booth, you can say, hey, I think this person may be better for that, or I think this person may be better for that. So the Orleans Parish Criminal Clerk of Court, what they do and how elections work. The role. The Criminal Clerk of Court is an elected official responsible for managing the administrative, financial, and record-keeping functions of Orleans Parish's Criminal District Court. So your vote helps determine who oversees criminal case management in New Orleans. So that is what you're going to vote for. And who is over our elections process. So they're not just over the criminal court, they're also over the elections process. Peep game. So the main responsibilities is 1, to manage the court records. They maintain official criminal case files, arrests, indictments, motions, and judgments. They provide certified copies to attorneys, defendants, and the public. Number 2, they handle the court finances, collect fines, fees, court costs, and bonds, disperses funds as ordered by the court, including restitution to victims, manages court financial accounts to ensure transparency. They do 3, case administration, receives and tracks new criminal filings, updates dockets and schedules hearings, supports judges by providing organized, accurate records. And number 4, serve the public. They're supposed to assist the attorneys, defendants, and citizens with case information, processes subpoenas and other court documentations. And 5, oversee operations, manages staff and daily office operations, implement systems for efficient case management and record keeping. And last but not least, elections division and voting information. They are responsible for this. So why your vote on this matters. The Orleans Parish Criminal Clerk of Court is elected every 4 years. The elections division of the Orleans Parish oversees the candidate filings. So when I ran for mayor, I had to go to the criminal district court to pay my fees and to swear in. So when you saw the picture of me doing this, that's where I was. I was at a criminal clerk of court. The election division of Orleans Parish oversees candidate filings, voter registration, and the elections process for the office and the city of New Orleans. And their website is nola.gov/election. So you can go there and get some more information. They ensure that the ballots are correct, manage early and absentee voting, and certify election results. Peep game. Why this matters. Choosing the right clerk affects how criminal courts are managed, fines are collected, and public funds are handled. And it also matters because they handle our elections and they ensure your vote is counted and the process is transparent. So we know there was a lot of hoopla going on in the past election cycle. So this is why it's important that we put someone that we can trust and who is transparent into that office. So the bottom line is the criminal clerk's office keeps the criminal justice system running smoothly, records accurate accounting, and finances accountable. And your voting impacts how efficiently and fairly the office operates. And of course, your vote matters because they are handling the elections division. So make sure you get out and vote this Saturday, November 15th. Like I said, we have over $500 million on the ballot with propositions 1, 2, 3. Absolutely no for number 1, yes for 2 and 3. So there's a no, yes, yes. That is how I'm voting, and I encourage you to vote the same, but please go read and check it out for yourself. And then I gave you a breakdown of the criminal clerk's responsibilities. And so you're going to be voting for that. And if you are in District A, you will have your city council on the ballot. And if you're in Council District E, you will have your council members on the ballot as well. I'm in B, so I do not have to, I'm not voting for that this go round, but a lot of people are. So please make sure you get out and vote. It is very, very important. It is so important that we vote consistently and in blocks. I'm going to give you a short version of that on why it matters. And I said this in this last show, but I really want to repeat it because it's so important. A lot of people are like, why do I vote? I don't have to vote. You know, it's not important. It is 100% important that you vote. My father was the first Black elected assessor in the state of Louisiana, and he won one of his elections by approximately 33 votes. So if 33 people decided that they didn't want to vote, or 34 people decided that they didn't want to vote that day, my father would not have won. And what my father did, he won in 1984. So, you know, it was years ago. He took out a dynasty, a New Orleans dynasty in the city of New Orleans. He took out the Comiskey family from office. And y'all know they have Comiskey Park, you know, off of Tulane. So, you know, I'm telling real truth. And I was like, my dad needs something. He took that out. They have a park. He needs a park too or something. So anyway, you know, I say that in jest, but for real, we need a park too. So, with that being the case, I want to jump into our resident question. So shout out if you ever have a question or a concern or a solution, please DM me, please email me at faithinpolitics504 at gmail.com. That is faithinpolitics504 at gmail.com. You can also send it to my DM on any one of the platforms. I usually respond within 24 to 48 hours. It's due because I have a couple different platforms, but I want to make sure that I get to everyone. And so give me at least, 24 to 48 hours to make sure I do that. But the resident question was, where is all our money for Sewerage and Water Board going? And so that hasn't been something that we've talked about in a while. But so when I looked it up, they had actually put an update. They had put out a press release yesterday saying that one of the turbines was back online. And so when y'all hear about that, you're like, what are they talking about? Well, when one of the turbines is down, we have less power and a less ability to pump the water faster that falls in our streets. And so we need all of our turbines to be working efficiently. So when there's rain, we don't flood. So, but the question was, where is the Sewerage and Water Board money going? And so I broke it down and I did the best that I could with my little investigative skills. So if anybody knows some information about Sewerage and Water Board and they want to let me know and let the residents know, please send me the information. I would love to know it. So I did a snapshot from 2024 and 2025 so we get a full understanding from those years because clearly 2025 isn't over. So the areas where the money is being spent for Sewerage and Water Board. For 2024, operating expenses, including non-cash items for water, sewer, and drainage, totaled about $250.7 million. For 2025, operating expenses are budgeted to increase about 4% over 2024. So the 2024 budget showed cash operating spend by the system. That was water was approximately $100.3 million. Sewer was approximately $105.6 million. And drainage was approximately $44.8 million. So in the 2025 budget, drainage cash operating spend budgeted up to $53.6 million. The sewer was budgeted up to $112.7 million. And the debt service, listen to this. This is the clincher because I know I'm saying a lot, but this was the clincher for me. The debt service in 2024 was approximately, drum roll, $56.44 million. In 2025, the budget is approximately $57.3 million. That is for debt service. Now, you're like, what are debt service? Okay, well, you see how we're getting these bonds? Well, you got to pay debt back with those bonds. So that's just a hint to tell you, well, guess what? They've been doing this at Sewerage and Water Board too. So we're paying off a lot of debt and you're not seeing any services. You're like, where's all the money going? The money's going to debt, y'all. Now that's what I found. So I think, maybe need an investigative reporter to go do like some in-depth and go knock on doors over there. But I feel like a lot of our money is going to debt and it's a problem. And so they go for direct capital spending from operations in 2024 was approximately 42.2 million. And in 2025, budget dropped to approximately 33.6 million. So the major problems where money should be going, but isn't sufficient. Y'all gonna love this. And we're talking about Sewerage and Water Board. So large parts of the budget go toward debt service, leaving less for new infrastructure. Capital investment from operations is declining. It's a pay go down in 2025 compared to 24. So the drainage system through the budgeted was higher in 2025, but it still demands far more given the size and condition of the network. Though operation costs are rising, the backlog of infrastructure needs, we all know that, remains massive. So that means many projects are still underfunded. Why? Because we're paying back so much debt. Dun, 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 dun. So where the money might appear, it's where it might appear money is being consumed. So the personnel cost and materials, supplies are driving increases in the 2025 budget. So maybe there's going to be some downsizing over there too. We do not know, but we shall see. A big piece of the budget is also non-cash cost. So the non-cash costs are depreciation, pension, liabilities, and none of these directly improve infrastructure. So all of that money is going to things that are not directly improving the infrastructure of the city of New Orleans. So this problem you're having. So in reducing the pay-to-go capital spending suggests more budget is going to maintaining existing systems rather than upgrading them. So this is a breakdown of what is happening. So the bottom line, I know that was a lot of information, but the bottom line is between 2024 and 2025, Sewage and Water Board's budget shows rising costs, especially personnel and system operations, and a modest uptick in drainage and sewer spending, but less direct capital investment from operations in 2025. So the challenge is keeping systems running while also needing major upgrades and infrastructure renewal. Now, we know New Orleans is a very old city. You have some pipelines that are literally over 100 years old. Not kidding. We have lines over like 100 years old. When I was working with the city, y'all, they had a line break right by, I think it was Loyola and Poydras, and it was like 110 or 115 years old. Not like, I'm not kidding. So we have so much money that are going to debt services into maintaining these old systems that they're not using anything to build anything new. So that's why you don't see any movement on it. So we need some new eyes over there to really reconstruct. And they have a new head of Sewage and Water Board. So let's see what they're going to do. I would love for them to be more present and visual, visual for the residents to see what's going on. But we shall see what happens in this new administration and what the relationship is going to be there. Because if you didn't know, the mayor sits as the president of city council. So when I did the recall, that's what I was like, hey, y'all, the mayor is the president of city council. And so now we're going to have a new president. I mean, of the Sewage and Water Board. I'm sorry. The mayor is the president of Sewage and Water Board. So now we will have a new president of Sewage and Water Board with this new administration, and that comes in January. So we will see how they restructure, if so, or what they do. So now you know where the money is going so that we can hold them more accountable. So I know I would like to see some restructuring there, and I believe you would like to see that too. So for full information on Sewage and Water Board, you can find them online at swbno.org. That is swbno.org. So I like to always give you the website where you can find this information, because go check it out for yourself. I 100% believe in that. Go check it out for yourself. So 2 more things today, y'all. 2 more things. I do have helpful New Orleans info and New Orleans trivia. So if you're just kind of logging on here, I've said it a couple times just because I love the city of New Orleans, y'all. And so one of the things I did there when I was social media manager was I created a link to all of the city information sources. And what's crazy is before 2018, that did not exist. So there was not one place you could go to see all of the dashboards in the city of New Orleans. And so let me give you an example. So right now, you have a lot of people asking for a budget dashboard. So you can see literally where the spending is going for each and every department. Well, I will say there are a lot of dashboards and there are a lot of information sources that you do have at your fingertips that many people don't know about it. So I'm going to make you aware of them right now. And so the link is nola.gov/apps. APPS, NOLA.gov/apps. I made that when I was there at when I started in 2018, because I was like, it is important that we have a one-stop shop where people can go and get all the information if they want it. Like, it was a struggle to make it at first, but here we are. It exists, and they've actually expanded the information on there, which is great. I personally believe they can organize a little better, but maybe this administration will do that. I don't know. But here's a hint. Hey, y'all, if y'all would reorganize it to make it user friendly, then the residents could really use it because it is a vital information source for residents. So again, that is NOLA.gov/apps. This is what it looks like when you go on there. It is NOLA.gov/apps. So what you can find there are the maps, apps, and dashboards for the city of New Orleans. So I'm going to run through there's so many, but I'm going to run through them so that you can kind of get an idea of what they have there. So data wise, they say they have Data Driven. That is an app that connects to open data around the city of New Orleans and is updated with regard to, how many businesses applied for a occupational license this month, or what's going on in one app, how many people did this or how many people did that. So all of the data in the city of New Orleans on different levels is put at this one spot. So this is a great tool that a lot of people do not know about. It is called Data Driven. It is an open data portal for the city of New Orleans, and so I like to give that information because people don't know about it. So you can get that at NOLA.gov/apps. And that is data driven. Also, there is the dashboard for 311. If you have put in a 311 request, you can go on the dashboard and see where your request is and what's going on with it. If there's been any updates, you can kind of keep follow of it there. I will say in the budget hearings, y'all, 311 and IT and people went up there and they were like, it will be a backlog. We already have a backlog and there will be a backlog for the foreseeable future. So if you have an issue with any department or any office in the city of New Orleans, I would say email them directly. Do not go through 311 right now because it will take forever. Email them directly. I'm giving you the truth, the way to get your stuff done. Email the office directly or make a call. Actually, I do both just to make sure you hit all sides. So you could say, oh, in the email, I called you. And that is even more like fire to make them respond quicker for you. How do I know that? I work there. So that's just your little insider tip. Make sure you call and email, and in your email say, I called and left a message, or I called and spoke to ABC. And then I believe that your request or your solution may come a little faster. There's also an accessibility dashboard that's on there. This dashboard was created by New Orleans Public Works to show pedestrian accessibility infrastructure throughout the city of New Orleans. There's an affordable house metrics. It's a visualization of OCD-funded affordable housing developments organized by affordability terms, addresses, and unit count. That can be very helpful. The criminal justice the criminal justice has a dashboard there. It illustrates how arrests made by police are processed by the district attorney and the criminal district court. The case level chart shows the number and percentages of any charges from an individual's case that was accepted or refused by the prosecution dependent upon the case. So there's a lot of information there that I'm sure you can like. There's a criminal justice charge level prosecution of decisions as well. There's a lot of these criminal justice dashboards. So please go on there and check them out. I'm not going to go through all the criminal justice ones because there's like 4 or 5 of them. There's also a DPW, that's Department of Public Works, the ARPA projects dashboard. So you're like, where did some of these ARPA funds go? There's a dashboard for that. So you can go on NOLA.gov/apps and find that there as well. There's a DPW maintenance dashboard. Yes, it's online. You can get it there. This displays 311 calls for service for DPW, as well as counts for parking tickets, tows, and boots. So please go on there if you have any of those issues. And a lot of people didn't know all this existed. And so I'm like, yes, go get the information. They have an enforcement dashboard. NOPD has many different dashboards for their demographics. Go on there and check it out. NOPD has a couple of them. They even have a response time dashboard. So if you're interested in NOPD response times, you can go check them out. And all of this information is on NOLA.gov/apps. What it is a housing link for all of the apps and dashboards in the city of New Orleans. A lot of people don't know this exists, but I'm excited to say that I created it in 2018 when I was social media manager, and so that's why I know it exists. I'm going to switch to some of the permitting and dashboards are also on there. So make sure you go on there. If you have any issues with your permitting, you can go look at what's going on. And this is one people didn't know. You know, when you go outside and you see the catch basins, or if you don't pay attention to them, if there's something in front of them or lots of leaves, go clean it out if you can. There's a catch basin maintenance dashboard. So you can find out when your catch basins were cleaned last. Yes, there's a dashboard for that. There's also a crime map. Where the crime is taking place in the city of New Orleans. When the NOPD puts in the information, we have a crime map. And so you can find out what crimes have been going on in your neighborhood. Yep. Isn't that fun information? So when you're sitting at home, you're like, hey, how safe is my neighborhood? Well, you can go on NOLA.gov/apps, go down to the crime map, and you can see what crimes have been happening in your neighborhood. There's also Explore NOLA. That's a search and explore open and closed 311 tickets, crime data, permits, and businesses. So if you are going to like buy a new house, you can go see what's going on in that neighborhood, or for your own neighborhood, or for your business. Go find out what's going on in the neighborhood so that you can stay in tune. They also have property viewer, and that's get ownership and zoning information for a property. So if you're in a neighborhood and you have a lot that is just overgrown, you're like, who owns this and what's going on? Of course, you can go to the assessor's website and find out who owns it, but you can also go to property viewer. You can get ownership and zoning information for that property. They also have Roadwork NOLA. I'm sure people would love to know that app. And you can go on there and see what the construction is and what's the time frame is. They do update it. You may not like the information you see when you get there, but you can see the timeline for the construction in your neighborhood or by your job, or by your favorite coffee shop or Bourbon Street or whatever it is. You're like, when is this going to end? What is the time frame? Well, they're supposed to be updating the information, so I can't say that it's all updated, but it's there. Route-wise, if you didn't know this exists, this will be a fun little app for you during parade season, because it's a parade tracker. Did y'all know that we have that? We do, and it's done by NOLA Ready, and it's called Route-wise. We also have the STR, different applications. You can go on that and pay attention to those. And here's a fun one as well. It's called Streetwise. You can find a map of auto accidents and flooded street reports. So if you're at home, I had one of my coworkers who actually put me onto this, because she was like, I use Streetwise all the time. I was like, how did you even know it existed? And so if there's flooding in the city and you're trying to find and navigate a way home so that you don't get caught in the flood, you can use Streetwise and literally map a way home. Isn't that crazy? Well, we have all these fun little tools at the City of New Orleans that residents don't know exist. So I'm here to let you know they exist. We also have VuCarre, a virtual library. So we have, it's a map-based electronic archive of countless VuCarre commissioned images, documents, and records. So if you're one of those people who like to search out information, historical data, you will love that. And last but not least, with regard to the dashboards, we have WeatherWise. So WeatherWise is an overview of all city weather stations in Orleans Parish, providing real-time localized weather reporting. So if you're one of those people who likes, weather-related things, you like to look up at the stars or whatever's going on, you will like WeatherWise. And then here's the last couple apps. We have Adopt a Catch Basin. That's help your neighborhood streets by adopting a catch basin and let us know when it doesn't work. So you can go outside or you can go on here and adopt your catch basin and keep tabs on it for the city of New Orleans. So if there's problems and you see flooding or, a ponding in a certain area and you see that it's not draining, let the city know. You can adopt your catch basin. And then Nora. So the Nora property search is on here too. You can browse the Nora property search. Notice Me. This is a way that you can interact with the city government and not have to be like hawking them every day. So you can receive email updates about land use changes in your area. So if you are in real estate or you really just want to know, if there's anything bought in your area or people are trying to change the land use or there's going to be an issue, you can register at Notice Me and they will send you emails of what's going on. And so one-stop application permits. This link is also on there at NOLA.gov/apps. You can also pay your taxes. There's a link for that. Tax bills, and people are going to be looking at that because the end of the year is coming. The tax bills are going to be going out. And these are all information so you can look up tax bills printed from 2008 to present. So if you want to find a tax bill or you're moving to a new city or not city, if you move into a new neighborhood and you want to find out what the taxes were on that house previous to you, you can go on that and look and see what's going on. And then the last one that the city has is Where You At. And so if you are new to New Orleans, this is always a fun a link up for you. But even if you're a resident and you didn't know it, this is also where you can find all of your city services for your address. It is called Where You At. You put in your address and it gives you your services, your zoning, your neighborhood information, who your representatives are. It like lists everything for you, which is a great resource, especially civically, because some people don't know when they move into a different district. And especially with, them redistricting and things like that, sometimes it moves a little bit. So you can find out what district you're in and who does what, down to like your police districts and things like that, because we should all know those things. And so last but not least, these are the other links that are associated with the page. And that is, let me just extend TikTok real quick. Those other links, last but not least, are the New Orleans City Council link. So you can get that there as well. Clean Up NOLA. If you did not know, there is a campaign called Clean Up NOLA. If you want to clean up your neighborhood, you can invite the neighborhood engagement team to come with you and meet up. You get some residents, they bring a team, and then you would clean your whole neighborhood. It exists, y'all. It's called Clean Up NOLA. I know a lot of city information because I was the city social media manager. So I had to work with each of these departments individually. So I just learned a lot while I was there. They also have the New Orleans Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance map there, so you can get all of the information there. They also have EPIC, which is the Ethical Policing is Courageous. So they map down that information. It's an intervention program developed by the NOPD in collaboration with the community partners to promote a culture of high quality and ethical policing. So you can get that link there. There's also a link to Film New Orleans. If you are in the film industry or you're looking to get in that industry, there's a link to that there as well. If you're interested in Gallier Hall or having an event there, or just like, what is Gallier Hall? It was actually one of our first city halls. If you didn't know, now you know. But there's a link to Gallier Hall there as well. And then hire NOPD, join New Orleans EMS, join NOFD, join NOPD, and the master plan of the city of New Orleans. And of course, NOLA Ready, NOPD News, NOPIO opiates. So it's addiction affects people and their lives in different ways. And so there's also a website for that. There's a website for NORD. And that's it. I know that was a lot of information, but I'm like, hey, if we never tell you, you never know it's there. So I took a little time to break down everything that is on this one link and why it is so important for each and every resident to kind of go on there and take a look, because there's literally something there for everyone. And you can get all the information I said at one link, and that is NOLA.gov/apps, NOLA.gov/apps. I will be putting out posts with regard to all of the Sewerage and Water Board information I put. I know it was a lot of information, but I made a little post for it. So I'll be posting that probably tomorrow, because they had a lot of information go out today. But I'll post that tomorrow, as well as the information on NOLA.gov/apps, so that you can make sure that you get involved, because that's what it's about. And so last but not least, before I let y'all go, of course, I did a new little segment, which is New Orleans Trivia. And it's just some things you may know and some things you just may not know. And so with that, it's always fun to see if we know what we think we know. And so I'm going to give that to you really quickly before we leave today. So, New Orleans trivia for today. I have three really quick questions for you, and I give the explanations. And so, if you didn't know, I also dropped this post right 5:30 right before I started. So again, you can meet me here Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. This is Faith and Politics with me, Eileen Carter, and are our New Orleans trivia questions today. So the first question is local government structure. What form of government does New Orleans use? Do y'all know? Hey, Ramp. Oh, Ramp was from my WOK days. Hey, Ramp. Do y'all know what form of government the city of New Orleans uses? Do, 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 do. Well, here's a true story. I did not know this until I actually worked for the city of New Orleans. So I believe most people don't know unless you're just like a civics 101, uh, genius, kind of. But we are under a mayor, a strong mayor system. We are a mayor council form of government. The New Orleans operates under a mayor council government with a strong mayor system. In this structure, the mayor is the chief executive of the city, responsible for enforcing city laws, overseeing municipal departments, preparing the budget, and directing daily operations. The city council acts as the legislative body, passing ordinances, approving the budget, and providing oversight. Interesting how that oversight word just keeps coming. And who's responsible for it? The city council. This strong mayor system gives the mayor significant authority compared to the council, unlike a council manager system where a city manager handles most of the administrative functions. And so you can see the difference here with New Orleans government and say how Jefferson Parish runs. Jefferson Parish runs by a council form of government. They do not have a mayor. And so you can see how the differences run there. And so question number 2. This should be easy, but it may not be easy for everyone. I did want to throw in an easy one. Your congressional district, with everything going on and the government shutdown, and then yay, y'all, it just got ended. So we are out of the government shutdown. Praise the Lord. And I do believe that was spiritual as well. I don't believe I actually know. So, but we'll have that's a conversation for another day. But the question is, New Orleans is part of which U.S. congressional district? Do y'all know? Do y'all know? Do you know? Do you know which congressional district New Orleans is? Well, the answer. New Orleans is located in Louisiana's 2nd congressional district. So New Orleans is located in the 2nd congressional district of Louisiana, which is represented in the U.S. House of Representatives. Our current U.S. House of Representative is Troy Carter. This district includes most of New Orleans, along with surrounding urban and suburban areas. And it kind of rolls all the way around almost to Baton Rouge. It goes down kind of through that little Cancer Alley region. I mean, I didn't want to say that, but it is what it is. And it has historically been a majority African American district. It is also known for being a strong Democratic leaning district. So what congressional district is New Orleans in? We are in Louisiana's 2nd congressional district. And last but not least, city departments. This was my last trivia question. Which city department oversees permits, code enforcement, and building regulations in New Orleans? Now, if you were in my last show, this was the resident question that I answered. You should know, because the resident question that I answered was about code enforcement, and I said which department they were under. So if you were paying attention, you'll find out. But I'm about to give you the answer anyway. So which city department oversees permits, code enforcement, and building regulations in New Orleans? It is the Department of Safety and Permits. The Department of Safety and Permits manages a wide range of regulatory and permitting functions in New Orleans. This includes issuing building permits, enforcing construction and safety codes. Now we knew a lot of that went down with the Hard Rock, right? Conducting inspections, and regulating businesses. Now, y'all know we've been having a lot of collapses, so we need to be paying attention to this department. So that's a little bit why I chose it. The department ensures that development projects comply with local laws and safety standards, playing a key role in both preserving historical areas like the French Quarter and supporting modern urban development. So the third question and final New Orleans trivia question was, which city department oversees permits, code enforcement, and building regulations in the city of New Orleans? And that is the Department of Safety and Permits. And so all of this information will be on my social feeds, and that is Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I want to thank everyone for joining me today at Faith in Politics. I really just appreciate each and every one of you. I saw you had a couple comments, but some of it went fast and I wasn't able to see. I know somebody had, please DM me that question, because that could be my resident question for Tuesday. So please DM me your questions. I really appreciate each and every one of you. This has definitely been a journey. As you know, I do walk with the Lord. So a lot of this initially wasn't just because I was like, oh, this is a great idea to do it. I was like, no, it was like the Lord was prompting me to speak. And so today's was episode 35. The title was Cry Loud and Spare Not. If you missed the beginning of the show, I'm going to kind of just tell you what we talked about so you can go back and update yourself. We talked about number one, taking back your block and taking territory, walking about around your block and praying for it and actually taking back your block. Why I can say that it works is because I did it myself. Like I said, there was like car break-ins a lot in the neighborhood. And I was like, wait, I can take authority in my neighborhood. So I did it. And I was like, Lord, Lord says test. Let's see what it is. And I did it and it worked. We haven't had a car break-in in our neighborhood since I did that. And so I know it works. The Lord is here to have our back. And so I took the territory of my neighborhood. And so I encourage each and every one of you to do it. We can see a difference in our neighborhood and in our city when we do that. I also talked about the budget update in the bond commission. I talked about the downsizing of the city of New Orleans and how our current mayor-elect ran on a platform of hiring 100 new workers in public works. And now yesterday she came out and said that she'll be downsizing city government. Well, actually, I ran on that platform of downsizing city government because I knew we had to do it. So, having been there for the past 8 years, I believe that she should have known that too. And so I think she did the residents a disservice by running on a platform that she knew that she could never deliver. That's my 2 cents. Everybody can make up their mind for themselves. But I do not believe that we were told the truth. And I believe the city of New Orleans got the okie doke. And I believe our residents got the okie doke, the ones that voted for her for her platform, because they believed her. And, 10 days after all this budget deficit stuff comes out and they're like, everything I just said, I can't do that. I can't do that. But, I want you to trust me. So we also talked about the state oversight and why they're being so restrictive. As I said, the Lord has said we were in judgment and cleanse. They're being so restrictive. Number one, because the people, you're asking for $125 million, but you're the people who actually put us in the deficit. So I believe that we have the tight eyes on New Orleans just to make sure we don't wiggle out of it. And if we do not do what they say, we will get the fiscal administrator. So do not think that that is off the table. Cameron Henry, who is over the Senate president, he has said, we need to make sure we follow in accordance to the legislative auditor. And if we don't, New Orleans will see more problems. We also spoke about, and I broke down the responsibilities of the Clerk of Criminal Court, because we do have an election on this Saturday. So make sure you get out to vote, make a plan. As I said, the propositions were 1, 2, and 3. All of those are broken down. Proposition 1, absolutely no, 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 no. Proposition 2 and 3, yes. You can go see a breakdown of those on my pages as well. The resident question for today is, where's all the Sewerage and Water Board money going? Like I said, I broke that down for you in a lot of technical words, but I'm going to give you a post on that tomorrow. So look out for that. And we had a fun, I gave you the helpful New Orleans information, which was NOLA.gov/apps. I created that link when I was at the city of New Orleans. That is one thing I do believe the city of New Orleans does very well. I believe we have a great IT department. I do not believe it is funded well. So if we gave them more money, they could do really wonderful things for us and deliver better communication for the city. But they do what they can with what they have, and they really helped me put together this NOLA.gov/apps. And I would, I know that it would be really a change for you, your organization, your family, your friends, if people really started engaging with that app. And again, that is NOLA.gov/apps. They offer data, dashboards, maps, web maps, and all city website links is at that one link that is NOLA.gov/apps. And last but not least, we did New Orleans trivia. And so I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm trying to read some of your stuff. Restoration of gun laws and felons. Let's see. I'll put that for the next show. Gun laws for felons. And what else you're talking about? The strong mayor system. Yes, you answered question A. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't see it till now. Yes, we have a strong mayor system. So shout out for you because I know we keep in touch. So I'm just really excited. And I'll see you when you pick up your book. And so again, I'm glad you said that. I saw you. So if you would like to get a book, Faith in Politics, please go. You can purchase it online at Amazon. You can also purchase it from me. I do have meetups. I will have them regularly when I get like a group of people who want them. I will do them just as we grow. And I'm also looking to have some panels where, at certain event places. So I'm working on some stuff like that will be coming in the future. It's not tomorrow, but it will be coming. But if you know somebody or a business who may want to sponsor or partner or have it at their establishment, please let me know. Reach out, send me an email at faithinpolitics504@gmail.com, faithinpolitics504@gmail.com. Of course, you can also slide my DMs and let me know all your information, solutions, or any of those people who may want to partner and have an event at their business. I'd love to share the information. Come in your neighborhood. Like I said, I do offer seminars, webinars, as well as mock elections. I do have a consulting firm. It is Carter Business Development. And so I had my consulting firm since 2012, y'all. So I love small businesses. This is not just something I was like, oh, it's a great topic. No, I love small businesses. And also in here, there's a little lanyard of how to do business with the city of New Orleans, with the state of Louisiana, and the United States government. So if you have a small business and you're trying to, navigate and see how to do what, or, what do you need to do? We do have the information here in the book as well. So I just appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in with me tonight. This was our second regular show. We did a little soft launch after the election, and I really kind of delved in. I was like, I want to make this consistent so we can really get the residents engaged. And plus, God was like, get your mind right and get this information out there. True story. He's like, stop lollygagging. So we will be here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. right here, Faith in Politics. You can watch me live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Podbean. That's where you can hear me and follow me if you're in your car, anywhere like that. Podbean. Faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. That is the website. And from there, you can click all of the episodes, and you can also find, click to Apple or YouTube or iHeart or Spotify right from that website as well and connect there. So that's why I say go there, because you can connect to wherever you kind of listen, because it's really important. And play it while you're walking, play it while you're exercising, while, you're watching the kids doing dishes or whatever you're doing. That's a great time just to kind of brush up on your New Orleans civics. And all the information I'm giving is based off of the New Orleans City Charter. And so that is very vital as well. It is based off of the New Orleans City Charter, because I'm going to give you the information to take back to your family and friends. And this isn't just about me. This is about us. This is about the people. So if we can light a match, throughout the city, and we can be inspired and really feel like we have some good information that we can speak up for ourselves, our neighbors, our more mature residents, and even our children, because this city will be our children's city one day. Like I said, my dad was an elected official. I used to, fall asleep under boardroom tables with him and follow him all around. Who knew that, one day I would run for mayor? And I did it, because I wanted to speak up for the people. And so we should each continue to speak up in our spheres of influence, and we can make a change. We're going to have a very tight 4 years in this next administration, and we need to make sure that we all do our due diligence. So thanks so much for tuning in. Again, you can find me at faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. And I didn't say that. If you want to purchase the book from me, you can do it by sending me $15 to the Cash App. And I did have Cash App is Faith in Politics. I did have a couple people ask to sponsor books. And so they bought like more than one book, or they wanted to give a donation. I was like, we appreciate that too. And with the donations, I do give away books as well. So if you want to give a donation that was more than the book, we will do giveaways with that as well, because I don't want to just, just take somebody's money. I want to make sure that we give the information and share it. So please, you can send the donations to Faith in Politics at Cash App, or you can Zelle it, faithinpoliticstoday@gmail.com. But the Cash App is just probably the easiest. Most people are using that right now. So Cash App, Faith in Politics. So thank you so much. We want to do our best to share this information. Oh, and of course, you can get the PDF of this for free if you cannot afford the $15. The information is still there for you. You can get that information at the link in my Instagram bio. So I'm your host, Eileen Carter. Just thanks for tuning in. I will see y'all next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Thank you so much, y'all. And I am out. Let's do it that way. Bye, y'all. See y'all later, TikTok. Bye, Podbean.